We're here with our first Fire in the Dark post season 1 interview, and I am joined by the lovely Pixie Parker. How are you doing?
BRB gonna go scream into a pillow again. Full context, it is not even 24 hours
No,
since the finish.
you are the first one, and I made sure to get you before anything could distract.
Excellent.
I think it's been in like an hour. It will have been 24 hours. By the time we're done,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with probably the boring question.
That's fine.
And that is, who are you? Where can people find you? What do you do?
Oh, okay. This is the question that I don't get absolutely feral about. Perfect. That's a good start.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We will be there very fast, apparently, today. That's how this is going. Yeah, so my name is Parker. I go by the Pixie Parker on all of the socials. I am a Twitch streamer where I play mostly dating sims, which is a wonderful, hilarious time. I do some writing occasionally, once in a blue moon, and yeah, general shenanigans is mostly what I do.
And as I'm sure we will talk about, your experience with dating sims has definitely come into play in Fire in the Dark.
Perfect. It's worked beautifully.
Was this your first time playing Blades in the Dark?
Oh yeah, 100%.
What do you think? Just in general.
I love it. I love it. This is so much of what I enjoy. Like, it's such a, I don't know, Blades in the Dark is very much my jam. I love, nope, that's going to sound weird, but I'll say it anyways. I love crime. I shouldn't. That sounds really weird.
Hi, at Huntsman's Hydra, we have a saying, and that's, be gay, do crime. Yeah. So
I probably should have worn that t-shirt. I have that t-shirt. Or a t-shirt with that on it. Anyways. But no, like, I love be gay, do crime. I love that. That is something, again, like, a lot of the characters I tend to play are just chaotic little criminals. And so this feeds in so well and takes it to a whole other level that I didn't know I was missing in my life.
So, speaking of the show, you know, the thing we're actually talking about.
Yes.
Who is your character? And by that I mean, like, you know, in essence, who is Asher?
So Asher Spectre Claw is, I keep referring to her as my dumb child, but also that's not exactly it. I mean that affectionately. She is at the very heart of everything, an chaotic rogue who, honestly, hide your wallets, hide your wives. That is the best summary for her.
It really is. And I guess diving a little bit more into that, and I'm of course talking throughout the entire season right now.
Yes.
What inspirations did you really pull from when you were creating Asher, and then kind of as she developed throughout the season?
So Asher is really funny. So I have a bunch of archetype characters I tend to play. And Hide Your Wallets, Hide Your Wives is actually one that I have utilized for quite a few years now. Asher is I don't have inspirations from like touch points from media in any way, shape, or form. I have touch points to other characters I've played in different games and different lives. And that is effectively where so much of her comes from. Even the wig, although she does have a lot of likeness to being kind of like the love child of Liliana and Zevran from Dragon Age. She's very much in line with those characters. Yeah. Yeah, the more you think about it, the more you're like, never mind. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I need to go replay those now.
Because even the wig actually came from, I was potentially going to do a Liliana cosplay at some point. That is the wig I had for it. But I've used that wig for other characters that came before Asher that were fairly similar. I've had, it's always somewhat roguelike, somewhat chaotic, somewhat kind of accidentally falls in love with every pretty face.
Yeah. And Asher, as you know from us talking after every episode, is one of my favorite characters in an RPG, period.
I'm so glad.
And so I really like all the notes that you give and like pulling from other characters is always really fascinating. Now you say you didn't take any touch points from media other than Dragon Age, but one thing that we've talked about that I am planning to include, so this is a reminder to myself to put it here, is your playlist, which I think says volumes about kind of watching that and being able to go, okay, when was this song added? And just seeing that journey is always so much fun.
Oh yeah.
But that's just random note of like, sure, no media, but it's definitely influenced like music choices for that playlist.
100%. And even with the music playlist, I think it wasn't necessarily that like there was just songs that I knew and I loved, and I realized how much it fit with her or fed into the narrative, especially as she grew and developed. And it just made sense.
Okay. Now I gotta get into the nitty gritty. Right now, so I've split this up into a couple different parts, and we're gonna start with season 1 overall.
Okay.
So at the start of all this, what goal did you have for Asher, if any? Like what was the purpose of Asher going into that first session?
She genuinely was. I feel like so much in TTRPGs, we go in with the depressing child that is, traumatic backstory, parents are dead, the world has been mean to me. And so I don't always, like, don't get me wrong, I have those characters. I have plenty of them. But I do so love the characters that are the, like, happy-go-lucky, nothing phases them, and they're just gonna roll with it. And that's really where Asher started, where it was like, you know what? We're gonna flirt with some pretty ladies. I kept laughing because like the TTRPG thirsty sword lesbians kept coming to my brain, except it was gonna be thirsty dagger lesbians because she would use a dagger more so. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, let's embody that energy and otherwise be this like little because she's short, she's 5'1", little sassy pants who flirts with people and steals things. Whatever there happens to be. If it's not nailed down, we'll probably run away with it. And that'll be fun. And we'll see where that takes her. Because I didn't have any plans for her. I was like, we'll see what happens. We'll see the world. We'll see how she interacts with it. And that'll determine everything.
I always love that. And we haven't seen this as much on stream, but Jamie, when I talk to Jamie, we'll probably talk about this where I just hand a blank character sheet and say, have fun. And that's always a joy to see. Now, that being said, how did your expectations flip throughout the season? Because I know we got a lot of kind of development out of that, especially for Asher.
Oh, God. Yeah, and it was one of those... There's a lot of weird, like, interesting developments that all made sense. Like, everything just consistently made sense to even who I thought she was from the very beginning. Because the happy-go-lucky, but I also had made it a point to be like, she rarely kills. She's not the type of person who's just going to go murder hobo and, like, kill everyone. She's not going to be like that. But I got a feeling partway through this, I'm like, this season is going to end with her killing somebody. I don't know who, but she gone to a murder by the end of it, which is interesting. I admittedly did not expect the relationship with Helene. I think I expected Asher to somehow self-sabotage that one. Yeah, she didn't, which I am very proud of her.
Yeah, I did wonder how that was going to blow up in Asher's face, and then it didn't.
And then it hasn't, which is weird.
And then, like, we talked about this off stream during the decompress, but like Helene's now an option for y'all to have as a patron.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't entirely trust her yet.
No,
Ghost Eye has to go read the aura first.
No, that's so valid. That's so valid. And
Archie invited her to that party. I don't know anymore. I don't know who to trust. We have trust issues out of yesterday's episode.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that's come out of this whole thing is Asher was like not trusting, but at least like tolerable of pretty much anybody. And I think we've completely seen I will not trust you until I have read everything I need to know about you.
Oh yeah, we have moved 100% to that. And I think the Ghost Eye being able to see auras is going to have a huge impact. That, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Jamie, you're going to have to describe a lot of auras going forward.
I they're so down for that. I can tell
I'm
you
so
now.
excited.
Because we regularly do that in another game of ours.
Oh, good.
It's we just do vibe checks. That's all it is.
I love it. I love it.
So on the topic of relationships and that kind of thing, favorite NPC for the season?
So it's so funny because before that finale, it would have been a tie between that. Okay, I'm good. Bring it together. But no, I mean, obviously love Helene because it's that relationship that they got it's just been really interesting to see and to dive into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I really liked Anya before her husband went and decided to be a jerk and is probably involved anyways. And then honestly, and while they're kind of NPCs, not quite NPCs, like the Damned have always been interesting in how they enter into this and how they enter into everything. I
Yeah.
also love the Dimmer sisters. I did start trying to answer this question to myself, and then I realized I had too many answers.
I mean, that's the point of me asking it.
I know.
Because next is, like, we've talked a lot about Helene, and then your reasons for maybe not liking Anya now make perfect sense based off the finale. But on that note, like, y'all interacted with the Dimmer sisters only a handful of times.
Yeah, but they spooky goyles, and I love it.
That
And that, like, it was just the vibe that they gave off, that energy, and
Mhm.
how they were established, how Jamie narrated that, like, everything with them, and just even like the little details, and that was always really cool how that came in.
Mhm.
What was the other example of it that everything with the flock. That was my other
Yeah.
group of like, whoo, these are fun. I might die.
Yeah. Yep.
But also
Yep.
just the nuance that was with them, even though there was really just the main episode we had, like that
Mhm.
one job we did in
With
conjunction with them.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know nothing on this topic because I know a lot of our discussions post finale was how much I knew ahead of time. I will
And
say
now I know all your tells.
I don't know this, but I feel like we will see more of the flock next season. I think it's
I
almost
wouldn't be surprised.
required.
Yeah. I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised.
Now, and not as much talking about like my direct interaction, but what do you like about the Damned? Like what was that?
There was just the fact, okay, well, one, the fact that they own a bakery coffee shop thing, like, that's just my
Yeah.
jam. I'm like, yes, I enjoy that. But it was, I think to some extent, because obviously those characters are so fleshed out, there's so much more to be described with them. Like, I know we barely, I think Asher saw Echo like once, and still the description of coming in like a thunderstorm still sticks.
Yeah.
And then getting an episode with Wick was obviously just fun. I don't know if anybody else would describe it that way, but both Asher and I found it fun.
I think so. We'll see, because I am going to ask a little bit about that episode. I mean, you've answered what I wanted, but like I'm curious what everyone thought of that, especially as we go into season 2 and potentially more interaction with the Damned. I'm like, okay, so what do y'all think of how they operate? Because Wick is probably the second most chaotic out of them.
Which is fine for Asher, actually. But and I think to some extent, like, Asher would love to go see Skag again and be like, guess what? Killed somebody.
Yeah.
See, I can do that. It kind of is like a told you so. I can be made to do these things too. I just don't do it to your extent.
Yeah. So. Well, I don't think anybody does it to Skag's extent.
We probably shouldn't either. We'd run out of people. Real
now, speaking of bakeries, and I believe you're the one who submitted this question.
100% did.
So what's your character's favorite pastry that you secretly wish Mort knew how to bake? I can't wait to ask Mort this question.
I love that. I want that question from Mort. I love baked goods. I love pastries. I am a sucker for them. So I think the second that enters any picture, I'm like, hello, I'm in.
Yep.
I have entered the
Same.
chat.
Same.
It's so good. I think for Asher specifically, sorry, my brain had a recipe and then I keep making it more complicated the longer it's in my brain. But we do something like an apple spice cinnamon roll with like cardamom and like other warm spices and cinnamon and fresh nutmeg and all of that. But like apple chunks fresh from the fall, like fall orchard harvest, and then just like the warm gooiness of the cinnamon roll.
Ooh, that does sound really good.
Yeah. Yeah, very much chai flavors infused throughout it. And yeah, god damn it, I need to. And now I want cinnamon rolls.
How did you feel character bleed was handled for you throughout this season? I know we've talked about some of it, but like there's been instances where each person has come out of an episode and will come back a couple weeks later and they say, "Oh, I did this thing because my character would have wanted me to."
True. Yeah, no, we were, oh man. Character bleed is always such a fascinating thing. And with Asher, especially, Asher started off quite as a simple character and got more complicated, obviously, as time went on. And the more complicated she got, the more I related to her on a bunch of different levels, which makes character bleed all the more fun and problematic. How we deal with our decompressions is always a wonderful way to do it because we try to treat both people separately. What I end up doing afterwards, especially through some of like there's one episode in particular where it was at the Silver Stag after that particular episode. And then also again after last night, what I sit down and I do is I write everything out for Asher. I write how she's feeling, how she's doing, how this is impacting her. And I start running through that to understand it better. Because as soon as I understand her, I can disconnect from her. And I can understand what the difference is. And that I have it down. And then I can go back to myself and be like, okay, what's remaining? That seems to be mine. Let's break through that now and start to break it down that way.
I might end up stealing that for a different character that I've been playing because that's similar boat, but I don't do the second step. So that's really fascinating.
If I can figure out the difference between, like, if I can take out of the equation what I know belongs to Asher, then what remains has to be mine.
Yeah.
And thus, let's figure out that. And that comes from me going to therapy for a hot minute. And that's how I figure out most of my life.
You know, therapy in and out of Dustfall is usually a pretty good idea. For us, it's going to feel like we're repeating, but for our audience, favorite moment for Asher in the entirety of season 1. We'll say not counting the finale.
Yeah, not counting the finale, although there were some good times in that one. And I mean, a lot of it came down to moments with Helene and moments where Asher did things that I was not expecting her to necessarily do. After the whole dealing with the, like, what was it, human trafficker at the Silver Stag, effectively, and that individual getting what they deserved. I genuinely expected Asher to actually self-sabotage her relationship after that.
Yeah.
I genuinely did. And the fact that she didn't, and the fact that she kind of came to terms with it in a very different way, but that's okay. That is what we can explore later in season 2. Where her brain's at with that one. But no, how she grew through, like, a relationship that wasn't making her choose to be something she wasn't. That was huge for her. And so her having that freedom to be like, okay, this is good. I can ride this high for a little bit. So a lot of it was to do with Helene, although there were specific moments that I think were always so good for Asher because they were true to Asher. Like anytime I got to go steal something that wasn't part of the job.
Yeah. No, and that's the War and Peace where y'all ended up going out to the Deadlands and escaping the fucking flesh beast in the church, and you're like, ooh, a safe.
Hello, safe.
Hello.
And everybody thought I was out already, and surprised I wasn't.
Yep.
And they all felt guilty, and Asher did not.
Nope. And then, of course, that is immediately followed by episode 4, which was the closet scene. because I'm not going to go a single interview with
Oh my
you
God, no,
or
that's fair.
Rue where I don't bring that
Oh,
up.
I love Rue. I love Crow. I love Crow and Asher and their shenanigans. The two of them do a surprising amount of chaos because apparently at some point we both determined, ooh, well, if you just summon a bunch of ghosts, I can go do this thing.
Yep.
And like that became our tactic for better
and it
or
works
for
really.
worse.
It really works. Like
it, hell, even bringing in Rick to basically just, oh my God, Rick being pulled into that closet scene was one of the best moments.
Speaking of our other castmates, what was your favorite moments for each character?
Oh my, across the season.
Across the season, not counting
Oof,
the finale.
And not counting the finale.
Which I'm hoping makes it a little easier because the finale has a ton of good scenes.
The finale had so many good scenes. Actually, okay, I got two of them right from the get-go. So, and they're like the most ridiculous scenes for
perfect,
which of course it is.
Yeah.
One of them is definitely during what I love to just call the bomb job, which was with Wick, and it's just Tristero getting kind of this sort of monologue, kind of last words of just to burn things effectively.
Yep.
Which was so good and such a Asher was like 5 blocks away already. Did not hear any
Yeah, you were
this.
gone. You
Way
were gone.
I did my job. I took care of things, but I loved that for Tristero in so many ways. Tristero had some really great moments that were just drama filled. Like I don't know, him also removing his vice, like losing his vice was pretty great too for a lot of reasons. Mort was specifically during the job we did before the finale when that poor soul got shot up with drugs and is like having a reaction, has adrenaline in his system, covers himself in the cooling cream, and is just frenzied. And you're just like, this is beautiful and hilarious, and everything is awful, but this is so funny.
I almost called that episode Allergic Reaction just because of how much weird shit happened.
Yeah. Oh man, did it ever. But it was I think it was the complete, like, it's such a testament to John as an actor and to be able to pull, like, he plays his stoic, straightforward, just cinnamon roll of a human being that we all want to protect, but he is our protector. And to go from that, who's normally calm, quiet, etc., hates boats, to absolutely frenzied on adrenaline, it was so good. Like, the range was beautiful and delicious and delightful. So I loved that so much. Everything Crow did, every time Crow would summon a ghost was specifically on job. Not even in like the prep stage, but like, I think back to the bomb job, which apparently seems to be my favorite one of all times.
Which was my next question, so good to know.
Getting into it, apparently. And the ghosts that came out of that, because there was the creepy little girl who I loved far more than I had any right to. In addition to, like, Rick had shown up and shenanigans with that man, as well as like a couple of others, one of which who just, from what I wrote down, just screwed off. And I don't know whatever happened to that one.
Yeah, one did just like show up, look around, and then leave.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that.
Me neither. I wrote down that they just like walked off, and I'm like, well, that's I don't know. But no, I think that's why, like, watching Crow do what they do, which is all of the occult stuff, has been beautiful and fun and fascinating, to the point where clearly Asher is like, hi, can you like summon some ghosts, please? I would love that for this moment.
I would love a distraction right now.
Yeah, and this is just like my favorite one. So that would be great. Thanks, bye.
Oh goodness. I talked about this a ton already, but like between the four of you, y'all's chemistry is just like so good. I eat it up every day. Now
it's so fun.
You've already mentioned it. Your favorite job, not including the finale.
I know, not include the finale broke my heart. I don't, and
Yeah.
the finale's a different category.
No, there's a reason none of these questions pertain to the finale.
Very good reason. The bomb job was definitely one of them, and just because it was so good and it was so Asher just did like it was just one of those days where everything went right for Asher.
Yeah.
And you would think that would also be my same feeling when it came down to, what was it, clinically clean is I think what we called it, the second to last episode, where Asher kind of carried things because I was the only one with any success rate.
Yeah.
We were not doing well in that job whatsoever.
You didn't have your good luck charm.
No. Of which Asher is very convinced that Crow is a good luck charm.
I think so, because when we get to it, the finale proved it, I feel.
Oh, yeah. Things went a lot smoother then. Yeah. But no, I love the bomb job and I love the party, despite the fact that I am now overthinking the implications and everything about that party. But that's beside the point.
Do you have any regrets? Any decisions that Asher has made that Asher regrets from this season?
So hilariously, I think I'm the person who may have put this question in, and because at the time I did have one, but then then further thinking, further unpacking, actually didn't. Because at first, as weird as it sounds, Asher really regretted not just gutting that god awful man during the Silver Stag score. And just like, but the thing is, that would have hurt Helene's reputation. It would have hurt the relationship with her and Asher, because she wouldn't have been able to have Asher around, really, if Asher made a scene like that. And so there isn't any actual regret about it, but that was originally what she may have a regret for. Otherwise, I mean, her other trusting Archie at all. Not going into the finale, but it's
So we will get to that in just a moment. We can actually start with that question. All right. I've held off long enough.
You've done really good. I'm proud.
The finale. We are now in the thick of it.
Cool. Okay.
5.5 hours, by the way, was how long that finale was. It did not feel. Nope. I didn't notice.
Yesterday's a blur at this point. I don't know.
We were, for context, for our audience, it was a 5.5 hour episode followed by 2 hours of decompress.
Is that how long that was? I don't know.
We were around each other for 7.5 hours yesterday.
And I wasn't sick of any of you. I loved every moment. So
it was fantastic.
It really was.
So now talking about the finale, something you regret.
Not turning that aura eye on Archie when I should have. I had a chance and I should have, and I temporarily thought it'd be funny, but I decided, no, let's not use it for this. This is not the moment. God damn it.
Yeah. I really want to know what you would have gotten. Like,
I do too.
Would you have gotten the Archie at the end?
I don't know. I would have seen something, I'm sure. I'm not sure it would have made any sense, though, to her. I guess the other regret is not having a knife in my goddamn hand when I hugged the man and stabbed him right. There's still some feelings.
One requires the other. Well, okay, so I'm glad, because one of the questions submitted by Jamie is, how does Asher feel about Archie now in the wake of everything that has happened?
There's a lot. There's a lot of feelings. I mean, betrayed and angry are like the two obvious key ones, but even in the not even 24 hours since we finished, my brain hasn't stopped on this whatsoever and has kept taking it further. I had the I temporarily was like, well, does Asher even trust Tristero, Mort, and Crow right now?
Yep.
because Tristero was the one who connected us with Archie. Silas worked with Archie, and Mort's dad was in charge of the firebugs.
Yep.
And suddenly Asher looks at this like, have I been the idiot this whole time? And so that was a very real, like, thing I had to think through at some point today.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, still figuring it out to some extent and whether or not, but I think the thing is the four of them have been through the fire together. They have been through hell and back with each other. And while, yes, Archie did show up on that one job, clearly it was for their benefit. Clearly they were just, it was a very calculated risk for them. And maybe it meant more than they, that's the other thing, actually. I started breaking down everything that he's done. Asher's been doing that in the sense of, well, why did he do that? Why did he do that job with us? Why did he get involved if he just wanted us to die? And so that one we're still figuring out. We haven't figured that out yet, but had to question whether or not who we trusted at all. Because I don't even know if Asher trusts Helene at this point anymore.
That's fair.
There is a trust is one of, and it's funny because this is like part of the backstory and notes that I handed to Jamie because I just love handing people knives to stab me with. Here are the emotional daggers. Have fun. And one of the big things for Asher was she values trust above all else because you have to trust people to get a con done half the time. You do have to have, or at least trust, not necessarily that they won't stab you in the back, but you have to trust in who they are as a person. And that's where the conversation with myself went. I've had so many conversations with myself. She knows enough about these three people to know, to trust them at least to be who they've been. So
that really, I'm gonna be really interested to see how that goes over the first couple episodes of season 2.
Yeah. Because I'm not gonna be surprised if Asher yells at Tristero at some point, being like, "You brought us into this. How did you not know?" Oh, and guilt. She also feels guilty because she actually blames herself to some extent. She blames herself for not doing her own due diligence in this. You can blame everybody else, but you should be blaming yourself at the same time. She could have done research on him. She could have looked into him, and she didn't. And yet that impacted her.
That, that's actually something I was gonna bring up with Cole. So I have to make a note of that.
The usual guilty boy, whether or not he's feeling guilty. No.
Yeah, that's what I really want to know. So we've talked about Archie and we've talked about the crew, kind of a Duskfall wide thing. How are you feeling about Pyro and Murmur now? Knowing what the end result is.
There is this absolute sense of disappointment. Because I think Murmur became one of those things where, like, okay, yeah, we don't do drugs, kids. But like, it felt still better. If you're gonna do drugs, at least this was a decent. This one wasn't gonna set you on fire. Like, there was potential for good with this, and at least if it could get Pyro off the streets, like there were so many good intentions with it, and for that to completely be a lie and collapse in on itself was just absolutely devastating in a weird way that Asher's still trying to figure out, because it's not even that she liked doing Murmur. That was never her thing. But it was just, this felt like a way to do some good in the world. By being, like, I can be a criminal and still do good. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Except for it's a whole fucking lie, and now what else is a lie? Everything is a lie, and that's what Asher's worried about.
I mean, yeah, that's very fair. I kind of chuckle at the thought of being a criminal and doing good, because whenever I describe Blades in the Dark to someone, one of the main points I say is there is no good in Duskfall.
There isn't.
And yeah, I am sad to say it still rings true, because I really thought y'all had a chance until I learned the things that I did.
Until you learn the truth. And I think that's just it, is because Asher had otherwise completely believed, yeah, there is no good in Duskfall, but this was suddenly, it was hope. And that was the problem, and that's what made it devastating, is if you give somebody hope and then destroy it.
Yep.
And that is something that she cannot figure out how to deal with.
Well, I mean, especially when it's the same person. It's different when it's hope was given and then taken by a different hand.
What he giveth, he taketh away, apparently.
Yep. Apparently.
Ugh.
So then, talking a little more about the finale itself, what was your favorite Asher moment during the finale? I have mine, and I think it's going to be the same one.
Like I realized afterwards, I'm like, I sound psychotic. I'm aware of this. But killing Vile Smasher, as weird as it is, because she is someone who avoided killing for so long. So for this to be, and like, we're aware people died in the building collapse. Yeah. However, object permanence, I did not see it, therefore I'm not really a part of. Yeah, crime object permanence, totally a thing with Asher, apparently. If we didn't see it happen, it just didn't.
In the 2 building collapses.
Yeah, no, sure. We're ignoring the death. But that was a moment that was specifically by her hand, and it was kind of one of those vindicated moments of, she had told, so I think she had told, I want to say it was Skag even, who, like, I can kill if I need to, and I will at some point. And so to actually go through and actually follow through on that was great, but also just the fact that it was this whiny, rage-filled, entitled white man who just honestly had no redeeming qualities about him whatsoever. There was a certain sense of just enjoyment in just getting to take him down and then watch his soul, his spirit get ripped apart by the 33 mother effing ghosts that Crow had brought up.
My favorite scene is actually y'all back on the boat. And I think it really displayed your character.
Yeah.
Like Asher as a character, who she cared about in that moment, because I went into the finale fully thinking, knowing what was going to happen. Because, I knew about the finale before they got it. I kind of had to.
You did.
The moment the harpoons hit the boat, your first thought wasn't, how do I get out of here? It was, how do I make sure everyone else gets out of here? Which, like, looking at the chaotic motherfucker that Asher is, that was not my expectation. No. My expectation was for you to get any coin you could get in your pocket and ghost field the hell out.
And instead, and I think that's just kind of there was a lot of really good times for Asher as like a full circle of where she's come to. Where typically, I've said it before, the big difference between me and Asher is she actually has a sense of self-preservation. It's great, and I appreciate that for her because it's kept her alive. But that was I was like, no, I can take it. I can take whatever stress happens in the situation. Get these pieces. Let's board the door. Crow, do you have the ability to do this right now? Okay, cool. What do you need from me? Like, and it just became this moment of, no, we're all getting out of this together. Let's go.
Yep.
And making sure that we're all leaving together. And I think that's also why her questioning whether or not she trusts them afterwards is like short-lived.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think also she needs somebody to trust right now.
I definitely agree with that. And then also kind of like in that moment, I think you really see, the crew at the whole has been betrayed. It is not one of y'all have done this. It is all 4 of you have been thrown under the bus. Or I guess trained.
And almost under the boat, actually. Kind of.
And under the boat. And just, it was a really interesting scene to watch because we had seen so many different parts of those characters during that finale. And to finally get to see that side of Asher right at the end was like so good. So then let's talk about your crewmates. I guess I'll pick one to start. Let's start with Tristero.
What about that, man? What about that?
Favorite
mess of a human.
Favorite moment in the finale for one, Tristero, Devil's Bargain, Wax Valentine.
He's got so many middle names at this point. We've given him so many nicknames. It's been wonderful.
Yep. Well, it's a t-shirt design. I just got to upload it.
I'm so excited. With Tristero, and the problem is there's 2 moments. No, wait, 3. Fuck, he made me very proud in that last episode for multiple reasons. I loved the talk that he had with Mort, because that felt like a full circle of like people have had kind of almost this conversation with him of don't fucking die, people need you, and he like him having that with Mort was beautiful in that respect. But I'm also so proud of him for just stabbing a motherfucker with the dagger of retribution.
That y'all had no clue what it did, first off.
You know what? I'm proud, and I'm also proud that he went and found a safe to go steal from. I'm just like
that was my scene for Tristero, 100%.
I was so proud. So proud of him.
Oh, so good. So good.
Yes. I have given the best influence to you, Tristero.
Yes, absolutely.
Somehow.
All right. So then, how about Mort, who we got to see some backstory pop up?
That was, oh my god, so much backstory. So much that I'm just still like, I need to know more. What is going on with your sister, your mom, everything? What? You had money? What? Yeah, there are a lot of questions. I have a lot of caps around Mort in my notes. I think, and I hate this later, but I loved it so much in the moment, was I like Mort and Archie's kind of farewell.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking more so now, because that was always the thing with Mort, is how he wanted to be perceived, how he wanted to be seen, because he didn't want to be that big brute. Although, God, I am so scared about what he signed himself up for with the hunt. I am so worried for that boy in so many ways, and it's fascinating, it's interesting. My favorite, I think my favorite moment still may be like that goodbye, so to speak, with Archie, but it's also everything with his dad in those dying moments.
Yeah.
Like that, I just was beautiful. It just, it was so, there was so much asked of Mort, I think, that episode emotionally, and it was beautiful how wonderfully he delivered.
And speaking of powerful and impactful, Crow, our lovely Whisper, had some great scenes in the finale.
I think my favorite one for Crow really was the summoning the 33 ghosts, but also having that thought process of, I am going to summon those who died at his hand.
Yep.
To destroy, do this ultimate act of just vengeance, really. But also agreeing in that devil's bargain to feel their pain. Yep. And it was just, and I love that, during the break, went and changed their makeup and, looked a hot mess, because that was how it was going to feel. Yep. And it was so accurate and so raw and so wonderful.
They conveyed that so well.
So bad.
None of us, I wish I had zoom up when they came back on camera, because we all were like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
None of us expected that.
No.
And it was so good. I also this was my favorite question I have tucked aside for Rue, because I think I really want to dive into that in the background, what that TA relationship was like for Silas, because at the end of the day, Silas could have ended up in the same boat as Vile Smasher.
I know. It's a very interesting comparison between the two, if you think about it. And I worry to some extent because of Crow's epilogue and what ties still remain. Because when Asher saw Crow's aura, there was puppet strings, and there's still one there.
So
and while I think that's Skurlock, what if it wasn't?
I was about to ask who you thought that was.
I don't know. That's plaguing me.
I think we're in the same boat. I'm between Skurlock and Archie.
Because it could be either.
Yeah, could be.
Very easily could be.
Or it could be somebody else that we just haven't met yet.
Easily could be as well. We have no idea.
Nope.
Asher gonna go interrogate Crowley.
Yeah, y'all, like, we've joked about the convo between them for so long. I think at this point I need to pull you two and Jamie into a call and then just record it and see what happens. And it like Jamie won't have to do anything. I just need Jamie there to know that it's canon.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it.
Oh gosh.
So then, okay, so we talked about each cast member in the finale.
Mm-hmm.
But then, what's your favorite moment overall of the finale?
Such a good question.
Right? I'm glad someone wrote this down for me.
Because I think I don't know. To some extent, there's like there's so many good moments. I do love how like it sucks we didn't get Talia.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love that it worked out so well in we each managed to get rid of somebody, which was really good in our own ways. And so like how that all came together to some extent without really planning that in advance. That was on the fly, and because we made some assumptions that Tristero would understand that ghost means it's going down, just stab him, mother. Like
yeah. And again, I go back to like y'all's coordination as a group. That was not a discussion. That wasn't even in Zoom chat.
Nope. That
was just yes-anding.
Yep.
In its finest. And it was great.
It was wonderful. Because I looked at Crow, I'm like, Crow, distraction? Yeah, perfect, cool. You do that, we're gonna see how many of these guys we can kill along the way. Perfect.
Yep.
But otherwise, no, my favorite moment, I think, and partially because I want to go listen to it again and again and again and dissect it as much as humanly possible, is the final, like, true villain monologue of Archie's delivered by Jamie. Because it was... I mean, the looks on all of our faces. I kind of want to go see the looks on all our faces because I was so fixated on just being, I am upset. Yeah, and I don't know when anybody figured anything out. I don't know the order because I was just watching Jamie and then processing and then anger as I took notes. I started taking furious notes on what Archie was saying because I was like, I am coming for you. This is the time.
So if I'm remembering correctly, it was actually Rue first.
I'm not surprised.
Because it was as soon as it was said that it was a familiar voice, I saw Rue's face light up. Because there were two options, and one of them wasn't going to be Skurlock.
No.
So, and then kind of everybody lit up after that.
It's because the second we saw other people show up, I was like, who are you? Because I have a hit list now. Cool.
Well, you know 3 of them.
Yes.
For sure.
Yep.
I'm
sure I technically know more. I just don't realize it yet. Yeah. No, I'm curious to see the overall impact on Duskfall over, like, how it impacts different people, places, and things. I'm very curious. Or if it has zero effect at all because nobody knows anything or nobody's realized anything. Because that's also a very real possibility.
We don't know yet.
Oh, no. We don't.
And I will say, I know I told you at the beginning of this that I was joking when I messaged Cole. But I did learn some more yesterday. After our decompress. As Jamie and I were just playing video games and hanging out. So I'm just gonna leave you with that, and we're gonna move into season 2.
Fine.
First off, has Duskfall seen the last of Asher?
No.
Absolutely. And specifically, what's written here is, has it broken them or made them stronger?
I mean, it has done things to them. I've had a full conversation now about. So Asher is back, no matter what. I am now playing with the idea of whether or not she even looks the same or goes by Spectre anymore. Because presumably, depending on if we're still wanted by the Bluecoats, I can't become. I keep joking that Asher's going to go into her true villain era. She's not actually. She's going to go into her slide era, is I think what's going to happen.
Oh, a playbook change.
Or, yes, possibly that, or possibly just really digging into those pieces. But in order to do that, I need to use the one card I know I still have, which is always going to be the Silver Stag. But that means and this is just like a thing that came up today where I'm like, might need a new alias, might need new hair, might need a new look. I need to figure this out. Maybe that means an eye patch. Maybe it means I can't show off my arms in public anymore because they're covered in anti-demon tattoos. Asher's had a lot of physical changes over season 1, we realized.
Yeah, just a bit. Like every other episode, just a bit.
Didn't expect that. But so she's around. Is she broken? No. Is she very determined to figure out what the heck, like, who is Archie really? And who are these other masked individuals? Like, that is she's going to get obsessed. Yep. And she is going to get, I don't know if she's going to just be sneaky about it, but one of the phrases that's been in my head now is, you can't play me if I play you first. And that may be her mantra going into it.
That's very fair.
So it's not broken her, it's changed her radically.
Yeah. All of you, I'm excited for all of you, but like, especially after we were talking yesterday and even talking now, I'm so excited to see where each of you go with your current allegiances. Yeah. And how those change in the little bit of a time skip we have before season 2. I'm actually really excited for our season 2 session 0.
Same.
That's gonna be so much.
It's gonna be fascinating to actually I'm really excited for the session 0 because then we can sit down and explore what that time has looked like and what everybody's priorities have been in that time. Because that's where I've already started to think of, like, what would Asher have cared about in that time? And that's where I'm starting to have some fun with, to figure out, like, where are we at? And I'm not there yet, but it's been 24 hours.
Yeah, it's been barely 24 hours.
Yeah.
Joy.
This is all just after 24 hours. This is how much my brain has been thinking of it. Have I slept? Not really. It's okay. We will tonight. It's fine. It's fine. I need sleep.
So then, kind of both as yourself and as Asher, I think this question applies. Who or what do you want to see more of next season?
Oh, God. Oh, who or what?
Like, take Archie out, because that's the main plot. So
I really do want to see, I feel like this actually is, okay, so I'm breaking this down by character because I think it actually all ties to each of them. Like with Mort, I really want to be able to dig into, because Asher was the main one present through a lot of the monologue between him and his dad.
Yeah.
She heard things that nobody else really knows because she only just summarized it realistically. She said, hey, big bad evil guy is his dad. Can you go help? And that's all I really told people. And so there was a lot more, and I'm going to confirm like what I actually heard versus what I wrote down later in notes. But like, there are certain things we know about. I really want to learn more about Mort's family and what that is and what that's been and why, what that could possibly be. And I'd love to see them show up, sister, mother, whatever that happens to be, like how that works. I want to see that. I really want to see Tristero interact with whatever Marasi is at this point. Like, what I want to see that develop. I want to see whatever that ends up being. And I guess also Cole with Talia, because they knew he knows who she is.
Yeah.
She beat him in an arm wrestling competition, and I would love to see that.
You mean with John?
Yeah, with John. Yes, with John. Yes, with Mort. Going back to him, but
Yeah.
I want to see those two connect because that would be interesting because they didn't get that really.
No, because they missed each other
exactly.
essentially.
And so I want to see that. And then with Crow, we know, I'm sure the flock is coming back, and I want to see more of that interaction, especially to determine whether or not Skurlock is that last string.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll be interesting. It'll be, because that becomes their own journey in that whole thing of how to cut that last tie, if that is the tie or if it is actually Archie. And so yeah.
If it's Archie, it might already be broken.
It might be now. I don't know. I think that's gonna be we're checking the auras on everybody. Everybody gets an aura read. There are enough days within the 3 months that I can do a lot of Duskfall. So we're pretending like it works one a day instead of one a job, but like it is. And then I think I am so, I don't know, this is one of those weird like storytelling things that I just get I get attached to very weird storytelling niches. And one of them is like the idea of these masked individuals. I am obsessed with this. This is like keys for me. Like keys are also like a weird trope that I tend to love and pick on and just end up loving. But if there's like a specific number of individuals and you don't know who they are, but you have an idea and you're trying, like these mysteries, I want them. I am so excited to dig into every single one of them, regardless of who they end up being. Like it's I don't know what it is. Those are weird story beats that I get obsessed with.
So speaking of, I just thought of something weird that I don't know if has hit your conspiracy theories yet.
Oh, good.
You mentioned keys.
Yeah.
You know the keys that Tristero had fashioned into knives at the end.
Where did they actually go to?
Well, one went to the warehouse. I don't remember where the other one went.
Did it? Because we didn't test them.
Well, it was part of the warehouse for sure, because that was part of that. It was part of that monologue.
Oh yeah.
Of Tristero trying them. I don't know what the second one went to, but remember there was a third one that Archie took off.
Yes.
So my running theory is that went to the boat. And so the blue coats were going to be able to get in.
Yeah.
That's my running theory.
It's very possible. But I did barricade that door.
You did barricade that door. And that would help a ton.
It would help to some extent. As much as my little body could barricade against the door, I would have gotten more though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of those weird nuanced things now that my brain is jumping back to.
Mm-hmm.
Especially thinking of season 2 and thinking of those masks and thinking of who they could possibly be. Because I wrote them down in as much detail as I could.
Yep.
And now it's along the lines of, has anybody given any indication in their personality, in how they dress, in their mannerisms, in anything to allude to any of this?
So, we teased this earlier. Let's go back to the party and talk about who all was there, because there were some very fascinating people.
Oh yeah, like my current girlfriend.
Your current girlfriend.
Real paranoid about that one.
Lord Skurlock.
Yep.
Leader of the Hive.
Mother Narya.
Nessa,
leader of the Disgraced Bluecoats. Helene. Yep. Jeremiah, leader of the Hive, and Lissa, leader of the Crows. I have it written down because I am the person who definitely takes really interesting notes. I would not say they're detailed. They're sometimes detailed. They are sometimes I write down random quotes, and sometimes it's just how I feel in the moment.
Same. My notes are usually just like what is interesting me at the moment, and hopefully it's important.
Yeah.
But I see that
list.
6 major individuals plus Archie.
Yeah.
And then however Anya's involved.
However Anya's involved. This is one of those. threads that I started tagging on earlier today, so I will be watching that episode again, see what I can pick up. Yeah, that is fascinating because Archie was in charge of the guest list. And if any of that means anything, then also I have to think over to the Silver Stag job, because Helene was in charge of that guest list, and Archie and Anya were on that guest list.
Yep.
And so suddenly there's a lot I start thinking through.
I will say, I'll save you a little bit. The Hive invited themselves.
Yeah, true.
So that I remember for sure. But otherwise, and I mean, Marassi's the one who crashed the party, because Marassi was the one Cole fought.
Yep.
So
I don't know.
I wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Oh, I know. Oh, trust me, this is my new obsession for the next little bit. Yeah. If you expected me to have any personality other than this, so sorry.
So sorry.
But yeah, right. I am just fascinated right now, and I love it. Like, this is great. This is delicious.
So, kind of wrapping up our season 2 talk, going into season 2. And this was my question. Ooh. What does your character want to be remembered for? What mark does Asher want to leave on Duskfall?
So this ties into... So it's funny, Asher's backstory hasn't actually come up very much, and I swear this connects. Asher's backstory hasn't come up much, although it's been threatened a couple times that it's supposed to in season 2, and we'll see about that. Oh, fuck. And so, because part of her backstory really does dig into, like, her mom died when she was young. She was just told it was sickness. It was due to a drug overdose. And that's where I leave things vague for GMs a lot of the time, because I'm like, here, have fun, interpret as you will. And so the main connection to her was always her dad. And I think to some extent, without intending to, I kind of then put myself as Asher and it being my dad. And this, without it ever intending it to be the way, because they were a family of smugglers. That's just who they are. Which isn't actually that bad by nature, if you think. Yeah, it's crime.
Not in Duskfall.
No. And so it's not too, there are much worse. There are a lot worse jobs we could have had. And so I do think a little bit that Asher has she wants to have hope. That is something that and hope that something will work out. Hope that things will be decent. And hope that she can leave something better than she found it. Not that Duskfall has any hope in hell of being good. It is a dumpster fire, and we've all come to terms with that. But at least if some small corner of Duskfall retains a little bit of hope, that is the mark she wants to leave. And that, I think, was so clear in one of the episodes. It was actually the Silver Stag job, I think, because we went and she talked to one of the people who worked there. Miriam, I think, or something. I don't know. It's in my notes. Marion, and had that whole conversation with Marion to try to get her to have hope of having a better life than what she was currently living.
Because she was one of the ones that got fired from the Silver Stag.
Yes, and ended up working out a very sketchy joint. Hasn't left Asher's brain. She wanted to fix that, couldn't though, or didn't put any time or energy into that one. Didn't make it a project. Had other priorities, mostly stress to deal with. But Marion, that was one of those things that I always talk about that episode being like the best and worst of Asher, because that was one of the moments that was the best of Asher, with trying to give somebody hope. And that it's going to have a lasting impact as she thinks about it, because she also gave Marion Murmur during that time because of what she felt Murmur could be. The fact that it could at least be better. A better drug on the street. Go get yourself fucked up, but this isn't going to completely kill you in the process. And so that is what Asher tends to want, despite the fact that in a city as dark as night, how the hell do you even have one light on? But she's still trying to light it anyways. And that's the mark that she would like to leave regardless. That, or she wants to manage the biggest fucking score of all time. If she can do that, she'll also die happy. Like, give her the toughest vault to an area to sneak into and get the stupidest thing out of there, she is in. She would be happy. And so like I think that's also what she like low-key sometimes dreams about is like what is like what is the biggest, best heist I could possibly fucking pull. And if I could ever live that dream, I think we'll be fine. So it's either of those.
That's I think that sums it up for season 2. So I've dubbed this section closing remarks.
Okay.
And so what is one thing you would like to say about the cast and the channel in your time here on Huntsman's Hydra and in Fire in the Dark? Looking at the season as a whole, what are your feelings on the cast, GM, anybody you want to talk about out of the 6 of us, and just how you feeling?
Oh, okay. How long do we have? Because this will take me another 2 hours. I'm kidding. The sense of I could gush for literally that long. I said this during the decompress, and this is one of those things that I will go on record. I will say till the cats come home. This is something that's fed my soul in a lot of ways. This game, these people, these players, the crew, like everybody involved. It is probably the most special project I have been a part of for so many reasons, but it's also been, and it's not even necessarily because of like my connection to Asher. It's been quite literally because of the people. And I don't even know which one to start with. Like, I think I know a lot of us started gushing online too, but I started losing even the words because I look at somebody like John and he is so incredibly talented in so many ways, and watching him bring more to life, but go through so much with that man and see just the different levels that it goes in and he takes it to has been like magic to me. And it's fascinating, and both myself and Asher are like in awe of both Mort and John in so many ways because of just what he does and how he does it and the absolute like presence he does it with. And then you move to somebody like Cole and Tristero, and Cole is a brilliant human for so many other reasons too, in the sense of like I just love picking his brain on TTRPGs and learning from him, and like honestly conspiracy theorizing with him is becoming my new favorite pastime, because that's literally what we did before this call. We have been diving into it, which has been wonderful because it's so nice to be able to just have that feral energy with somebody and just have it be matched. And that's always what I found with Cole and Tristero is like there is an energy that I find even matched for myself in him, and I love it, and it feels good in so many ways and gives me that permission to also be like that, which is wonderful. But Tristero is this beautiful mess of a human who you just, it's the train wreck you love watching, but you really do want the train to survive so you can kind of fix the train and it can get moving again. You don't actually want the train to go out. You do want
the train wreck Valentine.
100%. Because it's been, that's just, he was so tied into everything. And it's so funny because he's been the spider and in theory kind of our leader. And I'm like, I see it and I also don't for so many reasons. And so, because he brought us together, but has he kept us together? Not really, not entirely. I think most of us are just far too stubborn, and that's how that worked. And then Rue was funny because I remember coming into this and Rue is described as like the wild card. Nobody really knew Rue before any of this. And so I wasn't even sure, at least with like Asher and Tristero and Asher and Mort, I had a good feeling as to how those relationships would develop, like how those connections would go. Especially eventually when Asher's like, okay, Tristero, we're holding an intervention, buddy. And Mort was always from the start, like even from our session 0, he was my large friend, but I was the tiny one, then we were good with that. And that was always gonna be our thing, is like that is how we work. And so I wasn't ever sure with Silas, with Crow, with Rue, how that was going to evolve. And then it evolved into beautiful chaos.
Yes.
which has been so much fun from like the closet scene to all of the, well, let's just pull out ghosts and then I can do my job and we'll all get away, but also the them pulling open a ghost door and everybody thinking Asher's already out of the building. And I know they felt so guilty afterwards, even for like, I can't believe I left you behind. Oh no, I was good. Like, even that relationship, that everything, and also their similarities and how well they end up paralleling each other with like Asher and the MILFs and Crow with the DILFs, more or less. So like the DILFs, yeah, no, it was hilarious and beautiful in our parallels and our very similar chaos. Theirs is completely occult and mine was a lot more mundane and a little bit more stabby. Literally the difference. And so it was beautiful to have that and just to get to know them through this process and through this project, to explore that and have fun. And it makes me so excited to do future projects with them. And I think it's going to be, it's just fun knowing what we can do with each other now. And then to bring it all even into, and I kind of like, I don't know, this is where I also very much start to get emotional on a lot of levels. I told you this was the answer that I will go on for like fucking hours on. But Jamie, because I remember when this project was like being advertised, and I had been out of the TTRPG live stream game for a hot minute.
Yep.
I wasn't going to go back into it. I'd had a lot of rough experiences and I wasn't sure. Plus a bunch of my own adventures and stories. Like I had a bunch of things that had happened with me and I was like, do I want to get back into this? Do I have it in me? But I saw it was Jamie. And Jamie was somebody who, while I've never been close with in any regard, there was so much that I connected with them on that I was like, no, I trust them. And if I'm going to do this again, I'm going to go into it with somebody I trust. So I will at least apply. The worst that could happen is that I don't get in. And then I find out that apparently I was like one of the first choices.
You were literally the first choice. Like, I will tell you flat out, you were the first choice.
Which, that also took me some processing after last night, but that's because of my own view of myself, apparently. So, that hit me emotionally in a lot of ways more than I was expecting. But also because, like, I thought I was like, oh, yeah, no, I just got picked because I figured you knew me, and that was why. And, yeah, I can be funny. I can be entertaining, sure. I can look cute on camera. We can do this.
You always look cute on camera. Hold up.
Thank you. But that's, like, is that where my brain thought that this, like, why I was on? Yeah, pretty much. And then I found out that no, there was, and I'm not surprised that there was like 30 applications or whatever it was. Tons of applications for this show. I'm not surprised because without even having seen or experienced Jamie as a storyteller, as a GM, I just knew it was going to be good. So, and I'm aware that while that seems absolutely obvious to me, and it may not to others, like clearly others saw it too. So I'm not even biased in this case, but like I knew whatever it was going to be good. And I remember getting the message from them and I was fucking ecstatic. And I was like, cool, don't know the system, don't know anything about it, don't know these people. I'm excited. Let's figure this out. Let's do this. And so for me, like, yeah, learning what I did last night, I was floored for a lot of reasons. Still processing, still figuring that out, because that changed my worldview of, I guess, myself. But and it was so wonderful to be able to experience it firsthand. What I expected out of Jamie. This is what goes beyond even what I expected out of Jamie. I knew Jamie was going to be fucking incredible as a storyteller, as a GM, and I knew it was going to be good. I did not know it was going to be this good. I did not know it was going to be this beautiful. I did, however, say to Cole, we did completely tell Jamie in our session 0 that they could make us feel things. So we got what we asked for as well.
Yep, you did.
We have no one to be mad at except for ourselves. But no, we're not actually mad at Jamie in the slightest, too. That's even the best part. But I am just so genuinely grateful for being able to be a part of this process, to be a part of this, to be Asher, to be in Fire in the Dark, and to do this story. Like, to me, it is words cannot express how grateful I am. And then it also goes down to you and Huntsman's Hydra and it being. I struggle in a lot of ways to feel safe in a lot of spaces because I've had that taken advantage of. It's been a fun time being me. But this has been such a genuinely safe space, safe community, wholesome, wonderful, beautiful people that I just can relax and I can just do. I can just be, I can just exist, and I can do the thing. I can do Asher, I can do the game, and it's beautiful. And it all really comes down to you and Red and what you've cultivated and what you've created. And I've said it, I think, before too, or I'm not sure if I've even said it to you, but I've said it offhand to friends, how much I also genuinely appreciate you as a producer. Because I've seen so many people who just are like, I'm the producer because I want to be in all the shows. And it's the absolute absence of ego that is incredible because you also just so love these projects that come on and what goes through it and the stories that get told and just this space. And you're a part of it and obviously your own way, but you're not front and center. And that's what I've seen out of so many people is they've needed to be front and center. And it's incredible and like it's just so much wonderful support that I've never seen. And it's so genuine from you. It's so authentic and you are just an absolutely brilliant creator and I love what you do.
Okay, interview over. I gotta go cry now.
I told you my answer for that one was gonna be long. I could
really
go on
good.
for a while.
Oh, I know you could. That's why I put it here, so you had all the time you need.
Actually, okay, I'm gonna change it slightly, and I'm gonna be what I'm grateful for in each of them because I think that'll be the easiest way to wrap it up without diving into another 20-minute monologue. I don't actually know if it was that long, but it's probably lengthy. I'm grateful for John and Mort's strength and conviction that they carried with them throughout everything they did. They were in everything 100%, whether it was partner and partner, whether it was the hunt, whether it was facing his father and facing quite literally a demon that is from his own backstory. His strength through it is what I am grateful for because it became such a foundation. I am grateful for the misguided leadership that is Tristero and Cole. Because while it wasn't the intention, that still is what saved us in so many ways, whether it was the looking back and being like, oh yeah, no, I did this for you, to be the perfect wingman, to be the perfect part to play, to help everybody. And while it was misguided in so many weird, wacky ways, it was the leadership we didn't ask for, but probably needed and kind of deserved, especially as the mess. And so, but it was wonderful in how it came together, even in the time, even more so in the times where it didn't. And you looked at Cole thinking, what the ever living fuck, man?
Yeah.
Which we had many a moment of those. But for that, I am grateful. For Crow, I am just so grateful for not just the spooky boys that we brought along to the party, because those were great, but I am so grateful for their creative mind in all of it. Because I think with the occult in any setting or situation or scenario, you need to have some creativity. There is no rules or guidelines for a lot of this. And so you have to think through what could be, what is going to happen. I can think through a heist. That is easy. There's a lot of physical elements to this. You can figure it out. The ghosts you can take to a whole, ghosts, the occult, the spirits, everything you can take to a whole other level. And even just from the creativity of having a conversation with the giant ghost thing in the Deadlands, that spirit monster thing, thinking we could talk it down off a ledge. It kind of worked. Go with it. To everything with their relationship with Rick, and to even just the 30, like having that relationship with all of those ghosts at the very end. And so just having the creativity to live through all of those and keep them with them was really beautiful. I'm grateful to Jamie for many a fucking thing that this will fucking scroll the list. But I'm most grateful to them for the mindfulness and care that went into everything. Because I think that was something that I've noticed the most, is just the absolute thoughtfulness through everything and what was considered every step along the way. And that is something that is beautiful and rare in a lot of people. So I'm grateful for that. And then for you and the channel, and I've said a lot already about you, but I think it's, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm stealing the same one from another one, but it to a lot of extents, it's also your own creative mind and genius and brilliance. Like, it's been your commentary behind the scenes. It's been the shirt ideas. It's been the fact that you're going along with Goat Heist. Like, I'm sorry, that's great. But all of this to feed into the overall big project, the big picture. And there is a lot that goes into it that's not seen or recognized or heard. And you try to hide in the goddamn shadows so often. But we do try to bring you out as often as possible. But you were very much a part of this crew in your own creativity and insight and input, or even just in your reactions for us. Because in so many ways, you were also our audience when we didn't see the audience.
Yeah.
And so there is so much brilliance within that, and you being just such an absolute pivotal part of this entire journey as well. Not just because of the channel, but a lot with the channel as well, which is, again, I could go on that one for a while, but it's a fantastic space that I am so grateful to be a part of. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And of course, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but like the way I knew you was through PAX like 2019, and I look back on that and I'm like, I was a nobody in the tabletop space. I was barely streaming. Yeah. I was working on my first DM's Guild thing, and I look at all the incredible people that we've gotten to work with, both by myself and with Huntsman's Hydra, and I'm just always blown away to imagine that was 3 years ago, and just how much this space has grown and matured in better ways than we started it. But final question, and this is going into this next season. What do you have to say to Archie specifically?
Fucking long line of expletives. I just keep breaking into swearing rants at this point, and I'm just so fucking angry for that man who got us to fucking give a shit about him, only to turn it around, except for something is in that cold fucking heart of his, because he learned to like us, and we're gonna figure out what that fucking was and either turn it back on him, or, I don't know, use it against, I don't know, we've got a lot of plots. I have a lot of things about...
That was exactly what I wanted.
Good. It's not even towards Jamie, it is. Though, Jamie, feel free to keep stabbing us with these emotional wounds. We're just gonna get more feral as this goes, apparently.
That was everything I wanted. Thank you so much, Parker.
You're welcome.
So calming us down a little bit. Parker, you're on Twitter. You're on Twitch.
Yeah.
You're all over the place.
I am.
You're also, I'm not going to talk about it specifically, but you're going to be on Huntsman's Hydra more.
I know. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
And we can't wait to have you. And this has been the Pixie Parker, who is a lovely individual that I adore. And y'all have been watching Fire in the Dark on Huntsman's Hydra. And stay tuned for season 2 announcements when they come.